I'm Juan, and I am back for another unapologetic review of SWV and Xscape's The Queens of R&B. So we start off SWV and Xscape's The Queens of R&B where it left off. It left off with the sisters having a conversation with their mother at their mother Gloria's house, and things kind of going left when Tamika brings up the family secret and allegation that there was money stolen from her when she was pregnant. Her daughter was in college. Watching this is it's hard. It's hard to watch it knowing the people, but it's also hard to watch it when Tamika has so much passion. People may have said, I don't know if this is true. Why would you say this about your sister if it's not true? Some people are saying, yes, it got to be true. Her sister's saying it's not true. I wasn't there. I can't speak for that. I can speak for what I'm watching on the screen. What I'm watching on the screen is a child fighting to get out of the shadows of her sister and the hurt that she has endured for this many years. So whatever is the thing was that has happened between them, at this point, we're saying that is this money that was taken. She is fighting for the love from her mother at this point, and she is pleading and begging. I didn't see it as disrespect. I saw it as very much passion. Like, I need you to be on my side and hear me and listen to me for once in my life, and you have not done that. It was very hurtful when you look at it. And there's things that I just noticed that, like, I saw the point earlier in the episode, the first one, where she was like, you're jealous. She's jealous. But the point where when she says you stole my money, I hear her sister say, what money? You ain't got no money. Like, who would say that to their sister then? You ain't got no money to steal? Like, you ain't got no money? But like, it was very condescending. So when they get outside and they're still talking, the mom has said, cut the cameras. If you're going to film this, you got to go. Get out of my house. You can't come back. And even when Tamika is pleading with her, like, you know it, mama. Like, and them cameras are there. Tamika is still in her, like, she knows that this happened to her. The mom is kind of more quiet when they get outside. So I think it's very interesting. Tamika goes on to tell everyone about what happened. So she tells Tiny and Candy. Tiny is over there cracking up. But she's more cracking up at Candy's facial expressions because Candy is over there. Like, girl, I've been telling you for 30 years, but you've been having me out here look crazy to everybody. And Tiny is over there like, this is just a mess. And then she plays the voicemail that her mom left her. I do not like when parents try to weaponize religion or weaponize something. Like, what are you going to do? You going to whip me? Are you going to weaponize God? Like, how you going to say, like, I don't have enough God in me? Or like, that was just like the wrong thing. You could say you don't like what I said, but not enough God. Don't use religion to weaponize and make something right. I just felt like that wasn't right. She continues on and sees Taj. She tells Taj about everything that has happened with her. And it's hurtful to even Taj, who's a mom. So I think that was a good bonding moment between the girls of SWV and Xscape, even though it was just just Tamika and Taj. You then get to see the other lives of everybody else on the show, meaning the other members of SWV who they don't have a lot of drama. So for these first two episodes, so it's been a little bit more laid back for them as far as drama. So you get to see Coco, her mom, her son. When I tell you Coco's son, you could tell he does not play no games. Like, it was so hilarious when they got to the point and they were like, she said, can I say something? His grandma. And he was like, if you like, if you like. But when Coco asked her mama, was she humping? I like to die. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. You get Lily and her sister, and they seem to have a good bond. And Lily just has such a calm, fun, sweet aura about her. Like, every time I ever see her, it's a hug. I think she's just super sweet too. And Taj is super warm and loving with her family. She get with her son, her 18-year-old son. It's like, I don't know no Xscape. Like, basically, like, I don't know their music. He wouldn't be listening to that, so everybody gets that. And she's home with her husband, and they've been together like 20 something years. So it's like great to see Black love and be able to see all of those things that, like, we think that would be goals, is what people would say. Like, you got Black love and this is what it is. So I think that was all great things to definitely see. When you get the girls back together, you get, everyone pulls up, everyone's coming in, they're trying to get Candy to drink. Tasha and everybody comes to the meeting. And at the meeting, the girls decide they want to talk about getting new management. They're expressing their concerns with the management that they haven't had as far as Versus was this big thing, and they expected all of these things to happen after the Versus that didn't happen, and just in general. And, I think Kandi has said it on other interviews, so it's not like public knowledge. I think one of the other qualms that some of them had is like they had never met the managers in person. They had managed them for like a year and something, and I don't think they ever saw them in person, even at Versus. They never came. So when it gets to the point of having to discuss it, they can't get to that because Tasha says that her mother was disrespected. So she needs to talk about that with her sister before she discusses any business. I think that is, interesting that you can't handle the business part of it because you have some personal matters, and that's what kind of gets in the way. I don't know if it gets in the way the same, and this is going to sound really bad, when it comes to guy groups. Guy groups will try to handle the business, the personal. I don't know if it always gets in the way as such, but women are like, no, this is, my feelings, this matters at this moment too. So I think sometimes that comes into play. I'm sorry if y'all don't agree with that. And I'm not saying that's always true, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that, but I think sometimes, being able to separate the two, I see in a lot of women or female groups that things happen like that. So they don't come to a conclusion. They leave and say until Tasha and her sister can have a conversation, they can't finish their business part to see if they can move forward. You see Tasha discussing her life and the things that have happened in her life and how the group has never been able to get on board. She even at one point says that her sister and she's talking to Rocky, and she says that her sister seem possessed. I'm like, why are we weaponizing this? Why are we weaponizing religion? Like, she seemed possessed because she didn't like what you said, it was very weird. But she talks about it, and, abruptly they start talking about how things just haven't been good with her and Kandi. Her and Tiny, I guess, are always all right. But her and Kandi, and they go on the thing, and she talks about her solo career. I'm pretty much a person that always is like facts. So a lot of times in these reviews, sometimes people don't like my opinion. I'm probably going to state like one more that people are going to go and run in on the comments on, but I don't care. It's the truth. But in this, it was a part that to me, it was talking about her solo deal, and she said it didn't come out, but Kandi's came out. So I'm going to give some timeline of facts, right? So their album came out in 98, I think it was, Traces of My Lipstick. They promoted a little bit for 99. Then they get TLC's No Scrubs comes out in 99, right? I think right after Bills came around the same time, or the end of 99, top of 2000, right? In the same year, which is 2000, May of 2000, Latasha Scott and Kandi were both on the Big Mama's House soundtrack. Latasha Scott was on Liar Liar, that was her solo song. Kandi was on What I'm Gonna Do to You, her solo song. Latasha Scott was on Treat It Like Her with Shantae Moore on the same soundtrack. And there was an Xscape song, Bounce With Me, that was on that same soundtrack. But if you listen to that song, I'm 99% sure, and I have not asked her, you can go ask her if you would like. I don't hear Kandi's voice on that song, and I almost don't know if I hear Tasha, so I'm thinking it may be Tamika. I'm sorry, if I hear Tiny. It may be Tamika and Tasha on that because it says featuring Xscape, but it sounds just like Tasha's voice. It doesn't even sound like Xscape's voice, to be honest. Go back and listen to Bounce With Me. Those were all came out in May of 2020. Latasha had 3 or 4 songs on that. That was a So Def, Jermaine Dupri executive produced it. I would love to see the linear notes to say, hey, this Latasha Scott appears courtesy of So Def or whatever. But she was set up in that moment. Those were solo things. For me, I'm looking at facts. The same year, 2000, Latasha Scott was featured on a single. I don't know if y'all remember, like, they say you're having my baby, or they say she's having your baby. One Night Stand, Jay Shin, came out in 2000. That same year later, Kandi's Don't Think I'm Not came out. So at the same time that Kandi's having her solo things happen, Latasha's solo things are happening at the same time, simultaneously. At this point, Kandi has 2 songs. Her song that came out on Big Mama's and her solo song, Don't Think I'm Not, if you go to by the end of 2000. At this point, Latasha Scott has her solo song on the Big Mama soundtrack, her duet song on the Big Mama soundtrack, the Xscape song on the Big Mama soundtrack, and her solo song with Jay Shin, or duet, that came out around the same time. So she actually has more songs in the marketplace. I said all that to say, because, you know, when you hear a timeline and you're like, well, her album came out and mine got shelved. I don't know the inner workings of why the album got shelved. I don't know what happened. But I'm just saying, solo-wise, when you go and look, Latasha Scott had more songs in the marketplace in 2000 than Kandi did. Candy's album did come out in 2000, the end of 2000, like September. But she had more songs in the marketplace. So that just gives some insight. If you care to look, I would love to, if you have the liner notes, please, I would love for you to let us know what it says. Because I think it may say Latasha Scott appears courtesy of So So Def. I think it may say, and Kandi appears courtesy of Columbia Records, but the soundtrack may have been on Columbia. But it may say Latasha Scott appears courtesy of So So Def, which I think she was signed to So So Def. But if you have them, I have them somewhere, but I don't look. So it becomes that whole thing where, you know, them, and you see the tensions that have happened between them over the years, and you see it in her. And I think for her, it's very real. And I mean, her, Latasha, I think what she feels about this is very real. Even if it's not real or factual, or that's not what happened, that's what's real to her. That's what she's lived her life. Todd in the scene with A1 and Kandi and J.O., they're talking. And Todd says, well, she's upset at the success you had that she felt like was hers. That was some deep words. You know, like, we're still living in something that happened 23, 24, 25 years ago almost. That part never gets old. So even if you bandage it up, part of it is still the pain of what she felt like life could have been or should have been in that point for her. And I think part of the reason that her and Kandi, in my opinion, probably bump heads is because she still sees her as the youngest in the group. She mentions it in her interview. And and she's the oldest in the group. So she still feels, I'm the woman that should be able to tell you what to do. You need to listen because I'm the older. And she doesn't realize that all of them are grown women. And Kandi has become a grown, very opinionated, very, very strong-willed, very business-savvy woman. That's not the same girl that you knew 20 years ago. And so it's harder for her to see someone different. I remember somebody saying, like, people have to clear their lens with you. People have to, like, be able to see you differently or see you how you are now, because they may be looking at you through the same lens that they knew you before. So I think all of that is, it's hard. And we see coming up on the next episode where Tamika is talking to her mother that this is still something that's going on. Tamika says something that is even worse. When Tamika says, if we were on a cliff, she said, if I was on a cliff, I would expect my mom to try to save Tasha, where I wouldn't expect, it was cringeworthy when I saw it, cringeworthy when she said it. We see the girls finally get together, meaning SWV and Xscape, for the coming up episode, and they're able to talk. And they start talking about this thing about headlining a show, and I think this is going to get real interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. Because when I say it again next week, y'all are going to look at me. Coco at one point says something about, I'm not opening for anybody or blah, blah, blah. And I think SWV has sold an amazing amount of records. They've sold more records than Xscape, in the US, probably about 1 million or 2 more. So I think they have great records, just like I feel like Xscape is great. So it's not a diss, but I will say that I've done dates with SWV and Xscape that I was on the road with them, and Xscape was the headliner on those dates that I did. That's the thing that I know. So I think this is going to be an interesting conversation when I see it, because that's what I know. Not from someone told me. This is me being on the road in 2018. If you go look at the flyers, it was the Great Xscape tour and SWV was featured. So Coco also says she sold 30 million records. People are in the comments mad about this. I am not dissing SWV. They have sold millions of records. They have sold at least 11.5 million records in the United States. And I can tell you because I looked it up myself. They have sold records. I am debating this thrown out number of 30 million and 40 million. Those are numbers that a lot of other groups have sold, and they worked hard for those. Like NSYNC has 11 million on one album. Like Destiny's Child has 9 million on Writings of the Wall worldwide. So I'm just saying, from the factual part of us seeing, I don't see the proof that there are 11 million. I mean, there are 30 million sold worldwide. That is not saying that they have not sold records. That is not a diss. So please don't come in here saying it's a diss. This is my opinion. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But the truth part of it is, in the United States, they've sold X amount. So that would mean the other part of the world, they had to sell 2 times more than what they sold in the biggest place that they are, which is the United States. That's a lot harder for most artists. That's all I'm saying. There's no debate, and both groups have sold millions of records. No debate in that. I want people to understand it's not hate. I can speak that. That is my opinion. This is my channel. If you don't like it, I am sorry. You do not have to unapologetically watch this YouTube. But I'm going to state the fact. I don't like, if Xscape came up here and said we sold 70 million records, I'll be like, why you get on TV and lie? Don't say that. That doesn't make sense. You didn't. Why would you lie about that? Like, those are the kind of things that I'm saying. So I just want people to always state truths, because I don't like when people convolute things by making up numbers that aren't numbers that you could substantiate. If you would like to follow any of that, you can actually go to the RIAA. It'll tell you all in the United States. For everywhere else, there is no just one place that you can find how many records people sold everywhere else. But I would love to be able to see worldwide for both groups. Because I would just love to know the number. That would be a great number to know. That's great to add to, the many accolades that they have. So yeah, coming up, I think things get real next week for SWV and Xscape on the Queens of R&B, because I think the groups kind of get to clashing heads. And again, these are my opinions. If you don't like the opinion, I am so sorry that you don't like it. It's a lot of things in life that people do not like, but I am glad that you are here watching. So I don't take that for granted. It's not me being snarky. It's not me being funny. It's not me being, when I'm trying to engage and have conversations, but I also am a very go by the facts type of person. So I don't like when people just throw out things. If you came on my page and just start throwing out stuff, I'm going to say to you, like, why are you saying that? That doesn't make sense. That's a lie. Well, they had said on a blog before that you don't go off of what somebody said on a blog about me. Don't go off of those things. You can't go off of Wiki. You can't go off of any of those things. Those aren't credible sources with anything. So I wouldn't want you to even use that as your source. In school, that couldn't go in my bibliography. Wikipedia, I couldn't put that. So that is where I'm at. So you're watching me on Unapologetically. You see me with this no putty. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Tell somebody about it. Y'all, it is super, super, super amazing to have people like you that are watching this channel for me. And come in here to hear my review, because I told you I was not going to do this show, but y'all pushed me to do it. So I actually did it. So I'm going to see. Hopefully I can stick through the rest of this show. And keep watching Unapologetically. Thank y'all.